The first thing Jamal noticed that morning was the strange weight on his chest, the warm pressure of someone's arm draped over him like they belonged there, like it was the most natural thing in the world. But nothing in Jamal's world had been natural for a long time. Not since he became a single dad, not since he learned how to survive on no sleep, no support, and no margin for error. His life was a tightrope walk over fire. So when he opened his eyes and saw a woman, no, not just any woman but the woman, the one whose face appeared on magazine covers, business panels, and half the tech billboards in the city, lying beside him in his bed, wearing his shirt, the tightrope snapped in his mind. He jolted upright so fast that her arm slipped off him and she stirred, her lashes fluttering. He froze. His throat locked. His heart thudded so loudly he was sure she heard it. Mara Langford, billionaire, CEO of Langford Dynamics. Known for being brilliant, intimidating, and unreachable. And here she was, in his small apartment bedroom, in his old gray shirt, with sunlight tracing the shape of her bare legs under the hem. "You're awake," she said softly, her voice roughened with sleep and something else he couldn't place. Jamal's mouth opened but no sound emerged. His brain was trying to reboot like an old laptop running out of battery. He pressed a hand to his forehead, as if touch alone would snap him back to sanity. What happened? Are you okay? Why are you wearing my shirt?" She blinked at him, sat up, and the collar of the shirt slipped slightly off her shoulder, revealing the curve of her collarbone. It was too early for this kind of danger. "That's a lot of questions," she said with a smirk he'd only ever seen from afar at shareholder meetings streamed online. "But I guess I owe you answers." Jamal swallowed hard. "Start with why you're here. In my bed." "Oh, that," she stretched, and he tried very hard not to look. "You saved me." The night before was a blur for him. He remembered leaving the late shift from the restaurant. He remembered the rain, the kind that soaked you instantly. He remembered passing that alley near Westbridge, the shortcut he'd promised himself he'd stop taking but never did because it shaved 10 minutes off his walk home and he couldn't afford cabs. He remembered hearing a sound, a crash, a muffled cry. And he remembered finding a woman stumbling, heels in her hand, clutching her side like she was in pain. He remembered recognizing her, but only after he'd already thrown her arm over his shoulder to steady her. And he remembered her saying one sentence before she passed out completely. "Please, don't let them find me." Now the memory hit him fully, and he felt a cold ripple down his spine. "I took you home because you fainted," Jamal said slowly, as though piecing his sanity back together. "You were soaked and shivering. I put you in dry clothes because hypothermia. The shirt was my choice," she cut in, a ghost of humor in her eyes. "You weren't exactly conscious enough to dress me." Jamal sputtered. "I didn't. I mean, of course I wouldn't." "Okay, can you just tell me what's going on?" She took a breath. A long, steadying one. "I was running from someone. And I couldn't go home. I couldn't go to a hotel, either. You were the first person who didn't reach for a camera or a microphone when you recognized me." "I didn't recognize you until after you fainted," he confessed. "Exactly. You treated me like a person. Not a CEO. Not a headline. And I needed that more than anything." She looked down at her hands, fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt. "Someone leaked confidential prototypes from my company yesterday. The board thinks it came from me." Jamal blinked. Why would the CEO leak her own company secrets? Exactly my point. Her jaw tightened. The board doesn't care about logic. They want control. They want me gone. And when I confronted one of them last night, he made it very clear that an accident could remove me from the public eye before any investigation cleared my name. Jamal stared. "You mean, they wanted to hurt you?" "Or worse," she said quietly. "I had to get away. But I made it only a few blocks before they sent men after me. You found me just in time." Jamal looked away, unable to process how his ordinary, exhausting life had collided with the kind of corporate conspiracy that belonged in movies. "So, what now?" She hesitated. "Now I need your help." He shot her a look so sharp she almost flinched. "Lady, I have a son. I flip burgers at night and fix HVAC units during the day. I'm barely holding my world together. I can't. I'm not. This isn't me. You're the only person I trust right now," she said simply. That sentence punched him harder than he expected. Trust wasn't something he heard often. People trusted him to take their orders, to not mess up their delivery. But trust enough to put a life in his hands. He wasn't ready for that weight. She must have sensed his spiraling thoughts because she touched his wrist lightly. Her hand was cool, gentle. Jamal, I'm not asking you to fight a corporation. Just let me stay until I figure out my next steps. A day or two. That's dangerous, he said immediately. My kid. I know, she murmured. And I would never put him at risk. If you tell me to go, I'll leave. His heart twisted painfully. It wasn't fair that she looked at him like that, like he was some kind of anchor in her storm. You can stay, he heard himself say. For now. The relief in her eyes nearly undid him. Thank you. A small voice came from the doorway. Daddy. Jamal froze. Mara froze. They both turned. There, in dinosaur pajamas, hair a wild puff of curls, stood 7-year-old Malik, rubbing his eyes. Daddy, who's that lady wearing your shirt? The world stopped breathing. Mara blinked rapidly, then offered a small, awkward smile. Jamal's soul tried to evacuate his body. This is, Miss Mara. She's a friend. Mara shot him a startled sideways glance, as if, friend, was the last word she'd ever expected him to choose. Malik studied her with the seriousness only children possess. You hungry? Daddy makes good pancakes. They're sometimes lumpy but still good. Mara's lips twitched. I would love some pancakes. Malik nodded, satisfied. Okay, but you have to help. Daddy says guests gotta help. She placed a hand over her heart. I accept this sacred responsibility. Jamal rubbed his face. His morning had not only derailed, it had exploded. But as he watched the world's most powerful CEO follow his son to the kitchen like she belonged in their tiny home, something inside him shifted. Something he hadn't felt in years. Warmth. Maybe luck. Maybe danger. Maybe both. Breakfast was chaotic in the kind of gentle, domestic way Jamal hadn't experienced since before Malik's mother left. Mara cracked eggs badly. Malik laughed at her. She pretended to be offended. Jamal found himself smiling despite everything. Halfway through cooking, Mara leaned in close to him, too close, and whispered, "Your son is incredible." Jamal swallowed. He's my whole world, I can tell. Her gaze lingered on him, soft, thoughtful, too intimate for the tiny kitchen. It made heat crawl up his neck. Jamal, she said quietly, about this morning, there's something else I didn't tell you. He stiffened. What now? She looked at him with an expression he couldn't decode. Fear, hope, and something almost fragile. The last thing I said before I fainted, you remember? He nodded slowly. Don't let them find me. She shook her head. Before that, he frowned. You didn't say anything before that. I did, she whispered. You just didn't hear it. He stared at her, confusion knotting inside him. What did you say? She held his gaze for a long, breathless moment. Then she said the words that froze him where he stood, spatula dangling from his hand, pancakes forgotten on the stove behind him. I said your name. The world tilted. Jamal's pulse stumbled. How do you know my name? She exhaled shakily. Because I've seen you before. Months ago, at the community center. You were fixing the AC unit while talking to a group of kids like they were the most important people in the city. His breath caught. You remember that? I couldn't forget, she said softly. Something about you stayed with me. I kept thinking about it. About you. I just never thought our paths would cross again like this. Jamal felt his heartbeat crash in his ears. The CEO, the billionaire, the woman who could buy 10 cities if she felt like it. She had remembered him. The single dad scraping by. The man no one looked at twice. Why are you telling me this? He whispered. She stepped closer, eyes warm, sincerity dripping from every word. Because last night wasn't fate or coincidence. I came to your neighborhood on purpose. I was looking for you. His breath snagged painfully. Why? Because I knew, she said, voice trembling just enough to break him, that if everything in my world fell apart, you were the one person who would never let me fall. Jamal couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her confession wrapped around him like chains and wings at the same time. Dangerous, beautiful, impossible. And as Malik tugged Mara's sleeve asking for more syrup, she smiled at him like she'd always belonged there. And Jamal realized something terrifying. His life had just changed forever. And there was no going back.